Days after the Speaker of the House of Representatives threatened to report service chiefs to the President over their failure to honor the invitation of the House, the service chiefs today finally appeared before the lawmakers to discuss the state of the security in the country. But the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police were absent. They, however, sent in representatives to the meeting. Our correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
On Friday, the 20th of September, the Speaker of the House of Representatives arrived his meeting room, which was supposed to host a discussion session between the leadership of the House of Representatives and the service chiefs on the security situation in the country. While the Inspector General of Police, the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, and the Director General of the Department of State Services were present, the service chiefs sent in representatives, an action which the Speaker openly frowned at before abruptly adjourning the meeting.
The head of parliament will call the service chiefs for a nagging problem, how to resolve it. And you'll have what you call no call, no show. I will personally see the president myself. I think enough said. We'll adjourn this meeting till Monday, 10 o'clock. And I believe the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police.
23rd of September, and the meeting actually holds, this time with the service chiefs, the Director General of the DSS, and the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service in attendance, except the Inspector General of Police and the Chief of Army Staff, who had earlier communicated their absence.
My inability to be here in person last Friday was due to an equally urgent interaction at the presidency, while the Chief of Army Staff was out of the country at that time. That notwithstanding, our various chiefs of operations were here to represent us. I wish to put on record that, contrary to insinuations, our inability to be here on Friday was not a deliberate act to disrespect the institutions of the National Assembly.
The Chief of Defense Staff further explains the strides achieved in the fight against insurgency, which the Speaker says is the reason for the meeting.
We have achieved better integration of our land and air power, as well as greater coordination with other security and intelligence agencies through regular strategic meetings at the highest level of command and down to the chain of command.
It's clear that you had made giant strides over time. And that's why we're concerned that these giant strides, all of a sudden, we seem to be retrogressing, and that's why we called for this meeting.
The rest of the meeting holds behind closed doors, and there is no briefing afterwards. But according to the Speaker, the National Assembly will work closely with the security agencies to curb insecurity, especially in the area of budgeting. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
In just about a week, the country will be marking 59 years of its independence from colonial rule. Tonight, we begin to look at how major sectors of the country have fared and the challenges still being faced in the country. Our focus tonight is on security, and our correspondent Amaka Okafo takes a look at the security situation in the country and what needs to be done to secure the lives and properties of Nigerians.
It's been 10 years since the emergence of the Boko Haram crisis, and other crises have followed, such as farmers' herders' cash, cattle rustling, and armed banditry. Issues of kidnapping for ransom, ritual killing, armed robbery, and cyber crimes assumed an alarming proportion, especially in the last 1 year. Only last week, a serial killer was arrested by the Nigerian police in Port Harcourt, Rivers State.
We have serious challenges.
Some Nigerians argue that it's a direct result of the breakdown of governance and a challenging economic situation in the country.
Over the years, we have neglected good governance. Good governance in terms of equity, in terms of accountability, in terms of service delivery to the people, unemployment, serious challenges of livelihood. These are the causes of insecurity.
So people have less money, then there is inflation, then money can buy little. So, and there is no even job. And this has the tendency of, when pushed because of the current economic challenges, you see that people tend to, some significant or portion of the population may be pushed to find various means to survive, which is this acts of crime.
The security agencies say their intervention has continued to work to nip the menace in the bud, but not everybody agrees that it's working.
We have been in kinetics. We have been conducting kinetic operations, combats, fighting the bandits, fighting the Boko Haram and ISWAP in the northeast. Alongside this operation, the kinetic operation, we also conduct what we call non-kinetic operations. Why do we conduct non-kinetic operations? It is a kind of humanitarian-led operation, which revolves around protection of the civil populace within the theater of operation, providing them, doing a need assessment of what they need, what they require to survive in the conflict zone, and of course, being able to provide them with those basic things.
When you talk about insurgency or terrorism, there are strategies for it. Basically, there are three ways of doing it. One is to deter, that is prevent terrorism, deterrence. And that is the exclusive sphere of the armed forces. Then there's also the defend. Defend your neighborhood, defend your territorial space, and all that. That is exclusive for the police, civil defense, and all that. Okay? And then the third arm of it is development. You must develop. If you don't develop your roads, employment, hospitals, clinics, they're going to have problems. There's no connection. They don't synergize. There's no, networking among these three. The army is doing their own, they come up with, we've killed so many terrorists, we have done this, we have done that. They turn back, and before you go back, the terrorists are back again.
The Office of the National Security Advisor is tinkering with the national security policy. What should be in the new policy?
Create a forum for citizens themselves to be able to fully participate, to account to them, to enable them ask questions, to gain their confidence in order to be able to achieve the intelligence gathering you want, because intelligence is the background and the pillar for any successful operation.
Nigeria is the only federal structure, government I've seen, federal system, that is a country that is practicing federalism, that still have a centralized and unitary security structure. It's overwhelming, because the kind of security challenge we have now is going down to the grassroots. So it requires local intelligence, it requires ownership of security by the people.
The challenge for the government is to find and apply the best approach to quell the insecurity in the country. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
We're now being joined on the news at 10 by Dr. Amechi Nwokolo, who's an international terrorism and intelligence consultant, to discuss security situation across the country. Many thanks indeed for joining us from our Abuja studios. Let's look at some of the security challenges we're facing in the country at the moment. Cases of insurgency, banditry, if you will, kidnappings. Are you surprised, though, that after so many years of independence, the country is still grappling with these kinds of challenges?
Thank you very much, Gimba. Thank you for having me. I will tell you something that I'm not surprised at all, that we are still reeling around and running around the same circle, almost 60 years plus now of our independence. That's because the nation itself has not moved forward in terms of development. We have seen that even the current nature of the kind of threat and security challenges that we are facing right now has to do with the low level of development that we have and poor governance. And again, escalated by the rising unemployment all over the country, which is actually one of the greatest time bomb that we have in our hand right now.
So you say pretty much it's as a result of the kind of development that we don't have in place in the country that has by extension,
Our
caused
level of development.
and the level of development and have caused this kind of security challenges. What would you have loved to see in terms of development such that the security situations can be reduced or even cancelled outrightly?
Can I give you one example I discussed today in another platform?
But of course.
There's this kind of, this new wave of security challenge we have in places like Lagos and Abuja, and it's escalating on a daily basis, even though authorities try to deny, or we are living a lie. This issue of what we call one chance. One chance because we don't have adequate transportation system where people have to rely on private transportation arrangement. And in such a pattern, people can fall into the hand of people who are, or criminals who take advantage of that type of, of the situation. If we had good development, if we have good transportation system, we have trains, you have tube, you have tram, you have good buses around, nobody will find himself joining private transport or running on motorcycles here and there. And that's why we are having this kind of 60 years after, we don't still have a good transportation system in our country. So you can imagine when people fall victims and people have been killed in this process, and we are shouting around the nation. These are situations or criminality that has to do with our developmental pattern.
Okay, now, how would you assess government's handling of our security situation, considering that many have often blamed security agencies for failing to adequately secure the nation, internally speaking? Do we have to blame the government?
Yes, on some part, because when you blame some of the agencies responsible, then the government takes responsibility. Most times it appears we lack the political will in carrying out some decisions. I tell you what, in the age that we are in today, in the era of this kind of criminality that has been expanded by globalization, we need to go back to the people. We need to go back to the community. We need to go back. How do we infuse, or do we, marry the people or use the people in curtailing criminality in the country? Crime is local most times, and you've talked about the internal security issue, which is the crimes that are committed within our communities. How far have we utilized the people? Have our security agencies interfaced with the people? Because that's the only way to go. At the point in time, we started talking about state policing and all that, which for me, as a scholar, in the way I look at it, and the developmental level of our political elites, we are not still yet ripe for state policing. But you talk about community policing, that is the way to go, because it has something to do with everyday persons within the community. It has to do how the police and our policing instrument interface. When we talk about policing, mind you, it's not about the Nigerian police alone, as people tend to think. Other policing instruments, you have agencies like the Federal Road Safety. They are out there on the road. They relate with the people every day. You have the vehicle inspection,
yes, the officers,
VIO, or what they call them. They are there on the road. Some of them don't even know that they have a serious responsibility in checkmating crime and criminality within the community. And the government itself, or the government apparatus, that's why I'm saying we have a faltered national security architecture. They've not been able to carry this set of agencies along. So these are the everyday agencies that relate with the people, that relate with the community. You can't expect the Nigerian police to do everything.
That's a good place to let it.
In the times that we are in, all the various agencies, all the
that's a good place
various agencies
to let it rest. My apologies.
Preventers and first.
That's a good place to let it rest. Dr. Amechi,
policing,
my apologies. I'm afraid that we're really out of time, and We do sincerely thank you, Dr. Amechi Nwokolo. He is an international terrorism and intelligence consultant, for talking to us on the news at 10.